caught my future wife cheating with our neighbors, so I did this. Part 1. Story 1. Fresh out of a breakup and feeling numb. Hello everyone, after my almost 2-year relationship ended yesterday, I decided to join Reddit. It hurts because I wasn't expecting it, especially after all the effort I put into being a better spouse. My ex went back and forth between breaking up and passionately telling me how much she loves me and wants us to work out yesterday. Just to give her some space since she's unsure and needs to find out how she's failing our relationship. I won't pretend to be flawless. I've made my fair share of errors in the past. However, not only did I accept responsibility, but I also moved heaven and earth to make things better. So at this point, I'm feeling dejected and heartbroken as a person because even when I'm at my best, I'm told it's not enough. I told my ex that I would keep the door open for us, but that I needed time apart to focus on myself, and to only contact me if she is confident I am the man she wants to be with. Then I walked away, but I'm numb and tuned out. Just like a zombie. There are times when I cry, but right now I'm absolutely numb and lost, with no clue how to cope or deal with this. I intended to propose to her in the coming months. I too had a date planned. My life seemed to have been flipped upside down. Any tips on how to properly care for myself at this time? Thank you really lot. Leaving after being dumped. Hello everyone. I just went through a split due to infidelity. This was found on our anniversary, which was the day I had intended to propose. It's only been a week, but I've been on an emotional roller coaster. Was deeply in love with my ex, and as much as I want to be with her, I recognize that I would spend the rest of my life feeling suspicious and uneasy, unable to offer her or myself the love we deserve. So I went away, but not before I apologized to her. I'm not excusing her behavior, but I understand she's been through a lot in her life. And I'm well aware that I'm the kind of person who can never completely recover if I keep a grudge. My only hope for her is that she would utilize this experience to help her develop as a person and cope with her problems. But I'm not sure how to cope with this in a healthy way. Could you kindly provide me some advice? I've gone through breakups before, but nothing like this. Each time I battled and did everything a person should not do while attempting to move on. I don't care how difficult it is. As long as I can recover and rebuild myself, I'm willing to do it. Is it bad for me to care for her? I just split up with my 2-year boyfriend. We were ready to marry and I had planned to propose on our anniversary, which had just gone. However, I discovered she was cheating on me. The way I found out is something you'd think only occurs in a movie. It was that upsetting. Nonetheless, I opted to depart with love and forgiveness. During these few weeks, even though I'm convinced I can and won't return to that connection, I'm saddened by the trip she has ahead of her. Instead of caring about myself, I seem to be concerned with how she would deal with her remorse and the repercussions of her actions. Many months ago, she came to me and said that she was flirting with this person. I choose to forgive her and go on since I had a similar experience via text a long time ago. This, I thought, demonstrated a high level of maturity, regret, and respect. What I didn't anticipate was for this occurrence to result in her full-fledged emotional and limited physical adultery. Despite the fact that she did not sleep with him, the months of lies, betrayal, manipulation, and gaslighting have left me absolutely stunned and unable to remain with her. But here I am, worrying about her and the pain she may be through. Do I truly lack this much self-esteem or self-worth to feel sorry for someone who has done this to me? I'm not sure whether I should give my ex another opportunity. I'd want to hear some viewpoints. My long-term boyfriend and I just divorced. We were planning to marry and I was getting ready to pop the question. This is what occurred. She had a male buddy who was obviously interested in her. When she came to me, she said she had been enjoying his text approaches and felt bad, so I urged her to separate herself from him. Under these circumstances, I gave her a chance. We were in a long-distance relationship and saw each other approximately once a month for about a week. She put up with it till he wormed his way back in. The sad thing was that he was friends with her whole family. He was aware of my existence and had been attempting to set me up by creating bogus female accounts to see if I would text back so he could use this as leverage to break us up. It never worked because I refused to participate. This was only revealed to me after the breakup. She hid this information from me. His family is incredibly wealthy, so he would lavish her and her family with gifts and favors. A few months later, he makes a move on her, kisses her, and she kisses back. It was just a single kiss. But she felt horrible and told him she loved him but made a mistake. Soon after, he tells me that they'd been in communication the whole time. He's not doing me a favor since he's a jerk. He believed that by removing me from the picture, she would be his. That was not the case. She's been frantically trying to win me back, but the reality is that she didn't confess to me in the weeks after the incident, lied to me about maintaining the connection with him, and made me feel uneasy when I suspected she was still in contact with him. She did, without a doubt, make some dubious character decisions. Since then, I've acquired as much knowledge on many topics from her. I had no idea they had kissed until she revealed it to me. She claims that up until that point, she had been towing the line and had been carried away by his relentless attention. My concern is, should I cut Ma's losses or give this individual a chance to show herself? I'm too emotionally attached to be impartial about this, and I've been torn between the two possibilities since the relationship ended. Apart from that, she had a number of characteristics that I admired and was, for the most part, highly proactive in the relationship. However, she cheated in this manner, and I'm not sure if she is someone who made a succession of horrible mistakes because she was young or whether she lacks loyalty and honesty. I'd want to express my gratitude to everyone who responded. It offers me a lot to ponder. I feel like I came on here urgently hoping for any way to give her another opportunity. But then I remembered how much pain I'm in right now, and how it should never be the way one feels about love or a relationship. So I've chosen to persevere with a split and spend time apart from her to recover and move on. Thank you once again, everyone. When you're terrified of never falling in love again. I just went through a horrible breakup after learning that the lady I was about to marry had cheated on me. I was in love with her, and for a while I wondered, as many people do after a split, whether I would ever meet someone I would love as much as I loved my ex. I came upon something that questioned this notion and gave me tremendous comfort. We don't love individuals because they are unique. They are very precious to us since we adore them. In other words, the love we have for them is ours. They just entered our lives and reawakened it. So, when that love is receptive and ready to be awakened again in the future, it will resurface and you will experience wonderful love with someone else. I hope this helps anybody who is going through the motions of a breakup and is looking for optimism. I'm beginning to forgive her, but it comes at a cost. I've written about my breakup, which happened roughly 5 weeks ago. My spouse had cheated on me with a man she said was merely a friend and no longer in her life. I found out about it just before I proposed. It was a harrowing event that I will never forget. My ex has been trying to get me back ever since. I questioned whether I should try again for a time. Then I realized that I couldn't reconcile right now and that I needed to focus on digesting what had transpired. I believe that if I could simply forgive her, I would be able to work on the relationship again. I've begun to forgive her and we've had many frank chats about everything. But instead of desiring to reconcile, I've had the opposite effect since I began to forgive her. I've lost most, if not all, of my drive to reconcile. I'm not sure whether to feel happy or sorry about this. I simply wanted to reach out and see what advice or insights I might receive from others who have gone through something similar. I'm relieved yet sad since I had hoped to be able to try again if I could forgive her. This was not what I expected. I had a bad breakup just under 2 months ago after learning that my girlfriend had cheated on me. I was planned to propose at the time, and we were hoping to be married by the middle of next year. I made the decision to move on, and I'm glad I did. Too much harm has been done, and I am determined to meet someone who shares my principles and values. My inability to remain single has been an issue throughout my life. I've always been interested in relationships, nearly to the point where it's become my identity. This, I believe, contributes to the codependency that arises from these relationships. I'm in my late 20s, and I feel like I need to start learning from my errors and making long-term improvements now. I committed to spend a large amount of time working on myself, but I've spent the previous 2 days online attempting to connect with new ladies. It seems like I'm reverting to old habits and the worry of being alone and not finding someone special impacts my decisions. Once again, I'd really appreciate any suggestions on how to guide myself through this period in order to grow comfortable with being alone, making peace with the past, and finding enjoyment in life itself rather than in relationships. Any suggestions for dos and don'ts would be highly appreciated. I recognize that ending a 2-year relationship in 2 months is unrealistic. I had communicated with my ex, who had cheated on me many times in the previous month. She may be exhausting at times. I could see she sincerely regrets and is sorry for what she's done. Her mission has been to attempt to help me heal. But a few days ago, I decided to cut off communication since just remaining in touch was too traumatic. It seemed like agony because I was experiencing so many contradicting feelings. I'm more at peace now that I can concentrate only on myself and my recovery. But at the same time, I'm still experiencing all of the mental movies. I'm also constantly saddened by the fact that someone I care deeply about stabbed me in the back to this extent. I've never been very adept at coping with prior trauma. Things that occurred to me as a youngster continue to have an impact on me now. As a result, I have an anxious attachment style and the capacity to attract codependent partners. My objective is to go through all of this and in some ways set myself free. Before I even consider going on, I want to recharge and be at peace. But is it natural for me to feel as though I can't bear the thought of being vulnerable with someone again? For example, I feel so violated by the betrayal that I struggle on a daily basis. Any suggestions on how to cope with my trauma would be highly appreciated. Story 2. Fresh out of a breakup and feeling numb. Part 2. My relationship ended around 3 months ago when I caught my lover cheating on me. It's safe to say that it was a terrible show. The way it transpired devastated me, and I felt like the majority of my relationship was a lie. I've gained a lot of great lessons that I hope will benefit someone else. Always go with your gut instinct. Don't dismiss red signs, particularly if others closest to you identify them in your spouse. Compare your partner's words to their actions. Make no justifications for them in your mind. If you're dating someone who is unhappy, don't make it your duty to make them happy. Don't attempt to repair someone else, and don't date someone who may be what you're looking for. They're either there or they're not. Don't be afraid of loneliness. It's not nearly as terrible as dating or marrying the wrong person for you. When you are being insulted or gaslighted, speak up for yourself. Do not disregard a partner's history of bad moral judgments or lack of integrity unless they have acknowledged their weaknesses and made an attempt to correct them. The most essential thing I've learned is to put my own pleasure and well-being first. There's nothing wrong with being picky about the people you let into your life and the kind of relationships you're ready to consider. I think that life occurs to you rather than to you. As a result, even though I am still in anguish as a result of what occurred, it has pushed me to confront my own weaknesses and demons. Aside from that, since I've been devoting a lot of time to self-development over the past several months, I've had to fully break relations with my unfaithful ex. I explored reconciliation at one point, but as time passed, I recognized the severity of her infidelity. She would have given me hundreds, if not thousands, of falsehoods in the latter months of our relationship while she deceived me. I suspected it as well and questioned her on many occasions, but I was treated with gaslighting and manipulation. I don't want to discourage anybody who is attempting to reconcile. I admire you and drew inspiration from you. But, having seen the genuine person my ex is, warts and all, I can't picture a scenario in which I would ever allow someone like her to have a place in my life, even if I loved the person I thought she was. I have been looking for a way to experience relief after closing the chapter for a long time. It's not easy, but it feels right. I wish to cultivate a more intimate connection with myself until I'm really happy and full of self-love. Maybe then I'll think about starting a new relationship. I hope you found this information useful. If you're going through anything similar, please accept my best wishes. I'm embarrassed to have to publish this since I've been in such a good mood since breaking up with my ex. However, I awoke this morning to a text from my ex that reopened some of my wounds. For reference, we had been dating for 2 years and were set to marry. I discovered in a horrifying manner that she had cheated on me with her neighbor, whom she said was merely a friend and in whom she had no interest. I caught her after she refused to confess. In reality, she told me hundreds of falsehoods about her friendship that blossomed into an affair this year. I indicated that she and I kept in touch after D-Day. I was torn between entirely separating and reconciling. She added that a man she was acquainted with in college, let's call him Bob, has begun messaging her in the past 2 months and that he's interested in her but she isn't. I didn't think anything of it since I knew we were no longer together, and I trusted her when she claimed she wasn't interested in him or dating anybody. She just wanted me back and couldn't see herself with anybody else. When I closed the doors for reconciliation a week ago, I had addressed her earlier that day about moving on, and she told me that she had no desire in doing so and prefers to stay alone. I told her that was okay and that I hoped she met someone nice and was happy in the future. We separated in a satisfactory manner, and that was the end of it. She contacts me today and expresses her sadness, loneliness, and distress. She misses me so badly that she went to a theme park with Bob and 4 of his other pals this weekend since he invited her, and she simply missed me a lot. This irritated and pained me greatly. Please correct me if I'm wrong or illogical in my thinking, but isn't this precisely what she did throughout our relationship? Why bring up this person and tell me you have no interest in him just to accept an invitation days later? She hoped that if I heard this, I'd think how much she must miss me to be with another man, but I saw it as yet another kind of betrayal. Is this feeling illogical or immature on my part? What's the point of telling the ex when she's feeling why? Why go create a circumstance that is so similar to what she did in our relationship that lead to its demise? I find myself reliving previous occurrences in my head on a daily basis. It had been a long time since I made the intentional choice not to reconcile, and having that degree of closure was beneficial overall. The drama is over and I'm back in a more regular place. Days are more predictable and I feel like I'm regaining control of my life. Dare I admit that there are certain days when I'm truly very happy. I'll be singing along to music again, working hard, and looking for pleasant interactions with others around me. On the other hand, there are days when I am abruptly overcome with sensations of agony. Even when I'm having a wonderful day, I think about my ex and what occurred. But it won't take over my day or my feelings. It's on terrible days that I struggle the most with events that have occurred. In my instance, my ex not only cheated on me, but she also lied to me for months and gaslighted me. I believed she was cheating, and when I confronted her, I was faced with gaslighting. Those events are replaying in my head. I find myself wishing I had handled the situation differently, that I had left sooner, that I could have pushed Abbott harder and been harsher at the time. But I also see that with faith, there is no need to do so. And I trusted my ex, so despite my reservations, I opted to believe what she was saying at the time. It's needless to take shots at me and claim that I'm insecure or intimidated. Looking back, knowing that I was duped has an impact on me on bad days. What are some things I can do to lessen the effect of those thoughts and emotions on bad days? How did you manage to get away from ruminating about these things? I am certain that my future will be bright. I'm avoiding any potentially harmful actions. I haven't recovered, and I'm growing used to being on my own. But I've realized that mending isn't a straight line. I'd be grateful for any suggestions or simply to hear about your experiences with this. Hopefully, this is the last update on my condition. Last year, I routinely blogged about my circumstances. I found out my girlfriend was having an affair. I found out on our anniversary, just as I was about to propose. I won't go into too much detail, but it was a shambles, and I had to deal with her insane AP, who was attacking me in a variety of ways. There were several ups and downs. I thought about reconciling, but my ex was too inconsistent. All trust has been broken. I watched a lot of everyday mental movies because I saw things that no one wants to see. I had so many unanswered questions that I felt like I had squandered so much time, effort, and money, and to top it all off, the trauma of betrayal affected my emotions on a daily basis. However, I was ultimately able to break free. I took the choice not to reconcile, and for the first month or two, I was met with opposition from myself. Fears and anxieties would have an impact on me. It was very terrible to go away while being so deceived. But I'm happy to report that after more time, a lot of effort on my end to heal emotionally and confront everything, surrendering to reality, and letting go of the chapter, I'm feeling much better. I am a firm believer in the idea that life occurs to you rather than to you. Because of how happy I feel on some days, I'm even more convinced of this these days. It isn't ideal. As you are all aware, you are still dealing with certain ideas and feelings. But I'm not tied to what occurred anymore. I don't classify myself anymore as a betrayed partner or anything. I've moved on from that whole relationship and era of my life. So now I'm simply constructing a new self. I'm just me, a work in progress. And I have to admit, it feels fantastic. I'm feeling the most at ease I've felt in a long time. I pray on a regular basis, I exercise on a daily basis, I eat clean, I spend a lot of time with myself focusing on my emotions and thoughts, I read self-help books on a daily basis, I cut out a lot of toxic people from my life and strengthen my relationships with those who make me feel good, I work with enthusiasm, I have goals, and I do things that I enjoy. This is the most balanced my life has looked in a long time, yet I've had to endure a lot to get here. It was not easy, but it was very powerful because I regained control of my life. I did not go back, I did not engage in vices, I did not push anything, I did not flee the trauma, and I stopped categorizing myself based on the behavior of others. The road ahead is still long, but if this is any indication of what's to come, I'm really optimistic about the future. You have to put an end to the infidelity videos, ongoing pain shopping, and ruminating at some time. That was preventing me from embracing the conclusion of a chapter in my life. It may take you a half year, as it did for me, or it could take you several years. But you'll get there, whether via reconciliation or not. But you must do what is tough but necessary for your soul, future, mental health, and happiness. I hope this provides you some solace and hope. Stay strong, and please accept my best wishes. Thank you to everyone who took the time to advise me.